off now. I want to make an announcement.
We can play it at the end.
Yeah, remember, Mike? Are we on now? Oh. I want to make an announcement. We had the most successful day that we've ever had. We had about 35 people came, and now we're down to 8. They're all sleeping, watching Die Hard 5. They just can't take anymore.
This message is for you.
Some of them traveled very far.
Check them out if they're not on the square.
They could take hours of Zoom, but only about 40 minutes of live. The men from the boys and the children and the girls from the women has been determined.
Honey, do you want to call Nina?
No, I don't care. Just
You're gonna have a flood of people.
have Nina's
tomorrow.
number?
call up Nina. So welcome everyone. Nice to see you there on the Zoom. Yes, I keep leaning that way. Should just lean here.
And don't take the microphone, I'll leave it there.
Yeah. How you judge your success is how quickly you become obsolete. Yeah. This is pretty good today. Because truly, the message doesn't have to be listened to for a lifetime. It just has to be heard in a moment. Yeah. It needs to be heard in a moment. Now, I don't know which moment that's going to be, but it's not going to be of time. So therefore, it's always available at all times. But it's going to be, you're going to hear it in a moment. You're not going to listen to it for a lifetime. You'll be living it. Yeah. Yeah. So it's nice when, as a mailman, you get no return letters. It's very nice. I am stoked. So welcome everyone. The message here may be in a different direction than others. I don't know. I haven't listened to anyone else in a while, but the reason why we went in this direction is I wasn't hearing it emphasized as much as I felt when it dawned on me that describing what we are has severe limitations if it's heard by what we're not. Yeah, it's actually a deterrence. It's a disservice, because what happens is it reinforces the idea of what you're not, and then it gives it a conceptualization of what it thinks it may be, that it could become or it once was. And those conceptions actually become sort of like leaded balloons in a way. It's much better to turn from trying to understand what you are and to understand what you're not. It's much clearer, much cleaner, I feel. And I could be wrong, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, this is the directive that motivated me. And I've been open for new orders, and I've never gotten a new order. Never. It just keeps on keeping on. So this idea is, if you don't see this mental activity, you're going to look from it. It's just that simple. And if you look from it, you're not going to see it. Yeah. No matter how much you look for it as what you're not going to see it. Yeah. The seeing is not available to that which is seeing. You can't see that which is seeing, but you can see other activities. Yeah. You can be aware of other activities that are appearing in awareness, but you're not going to become aware of awareness. You are awareness. Yeah. You are that which you maybe want to become or have an experience of. That's why you can basically have an experience and know and study anything if it has one quality, which is it's not you. But if it is of you, that exempts those things from working. They actually do the opposite. Yeah. The more you study, the less you really know. Yeah, because you get burdened by ideas and concepts, and they become things you're going to have to machete through. Yeah. And you'll realize that. So this is simple. I heard it in a certain way. when I read teachings of Ramana written by different of his followers, you know, the teachings were quite similar. And they used to have certain very and highlighted statements. And one of them was this idea of being ourselves reality, that the greatest mystery is reality wanting to attain reality. Yeah. Now, it makes sense for Paul to want to attain reality, because Paul isn't reality. Even though it thinks it is, it ain't. Yeah. So it's hoping to get a great advantage that it's not getting as Paul by knowing reality. But all the while, Paul is in the process of knowing reality. It's reality attempting to know reality. Yeah. So Paul should get great kudos if there was a Paul and that Paul wanted to know reality. But it's the other way around. As Ramana explained very clearly, there's this presupposing, and the emphasis on pre. If it was a mistake in the translation from Hindi or whatever, he spoke a dialect, I'm happy for the mistake, because the pre is an aspect of time. Yeah, we know what supposing is like. Amelia and I have supposed a lot of stores have been opened, and when we drove there, we found out they weren't open. Yeah, come on in. We'll take a pause now. Cue the music again. They came back, you see. Wait a minute.
Nina's on her way too.
All right, here they all are. This is the walk of infamy. Yes, look at it. They've all eaten a lot of food, took a nap. Yeah. All right.
But Michael's on his way back home.
Michael's on his way back home. Who's Michael? Oh, yeah, I knew you needed to go. Is this working now? All right, well, we were just using you as examples. I hope you don't mind.
Yeah, you got the message, you didn't need it anymore.
Yeah. You got the message and that was it. You're out. Yes. And I mean, you could take hours of Zoom, but only an hour of live. So we were going to the statement again of Ramana, a famous one. And he says it in a lot of different ways, but the one that stuck with me was this presupposing of a non-existent thing, which is the body, right? Being existent, that's really the presupposing. So we're presupposing a non-existent thing having existence, yeah? And the feeling of the sense of self is this feeling of being a long-lasting, independent, separate entity. In other words, you're generating your own existence. Paul is existing. It's not existence, and then there's an appearance of Paul. It's Paul is existing. Yeah, Paul becomes some kind of cause when it isn't cause. So there's a presupposing. So we do it all the time. We just shared it. Me and Amelia would suppose a store or assume a store was open and drive there. We wouldn't call. We were so sure that we knew the store was open. We would drive there and it would be closed and we'd be surprised. Yeah. A lot of times. So there's this supposing of something without any real investigation. Yeah. And it's a presupposing. This is the trick, because if you saw a lot of stuff and then a supposing, you would see the supposing came after. Yeah. But if the supposing is implying a someone that's before everything, that's like a new trick. Yeah. Yeah. So the presupposing is this non-existent thing, this body is existing in a way, and it wants to seek salvation for itself. Yeah. So he says, if this is the case, and he's pretty much stating this is the case, or he wouldn't have put such a profound meaning on it, the problem or the greatest mystery, your spiritual practices themselves are reinforcing this idea. And so he says, how could they destroy it? So if something is reinforcing something, how is it going to be destroying it at the same time? We're believing our spiritual practices are destroying the thing that's upsetting us, but they're actually reinforcing. Yes, this is the first little conundrum that's revealed in the logic of non-duality that goes against the mental logic. You think that you have a right understanding and you're moving towards a goal, but you're actually reinforcing an assumed base, yeah? And that assumed base isn't true. So all the miles that you're you're putting on your spiritual speedometer or whatever, or odometer to get to LA. You never left LA. Yes. This is the assumption. It's not saying this is an order, you got to get it. It's just an invitation. And a lot of people come here because they've been involved in a lot of stuff. And after years of blaming themselves, yes, or the teacher or whatever, they finally maybe see there's something failed that I started from. Yeah, I didn't arrive at a failure. I started from a failure. Yeah, and so that's what non-duality does. It stops the fucking train. It presents an idea that you are that which you are, that you want to be. You are reality now. And the way they say it is what's looking is what you're looking for. It's not presented as what's looking and then 50 pages of requirements for you to be what you're looking for. It says what's looking is what you're looking for. It's not what's looking isn't looking for you. It's what's looking is what you are looking for. Yeah. All the while being what's looking in a weird way. So these statements, they may seem cryptic, but if you see or hear enough of them, there's a seamless logic in there. They're basically saying you don't have to go anywhere with all you're going. You're just going. Yeah. You never leave where you are, in fact. Yeah. You may move here and there on the geographical map, but from what you are, it's sort of like everywhere moving in everywhere doesn't make us somewhere. It's still everywhere. Yeah, it can't escape. It can't make us special somewhere and everywhere. It's everywhere. Yeah. And this is why actually we miss it, of course, just like the fish is completely engulfed in water, so it doesn't notice it. It just notices what appears in it. Yeah. But it doesn't really notice. I don't think it notices the water. Maybe it does. You know, maybe you see him stopping, having a spiritual awakening. I'm in water. I am the water. Then they're just gobbled up in a second. They don't have the time to fucking stop. But the thing is, the head works with recognizing something because it's appeared, yeah, and then it disappears and other things appear. If something's always here, it may not be noticed at all. And this is what happens. This is the point. So what is it that's causing us not to notice the obvious is an activity, a mental one. And that activity is the act of being identified as self. And it's not volitional. When the statement, the act of being identified as self, there's no actor of that. There's no one, you're not doing the selfing. Yeah. It's not some other burden of guilt you need to carry. It's not volitional, it's mechanical. Yeah. The mental state gets turned on, let's say, by conscious contact. Once it recognizes something, it claims it. To do what? To support its story at the expense of everything else. Yeah. And basically that's what happens. The head gets overdeveloped, so to speak. And like people will say, well, it's of all of us. Yes. But if it's taking 90 or 100% of the role of being you when it has a minor aspect in that, you better maybe use a little technique of seeing it as other and then allowing it to regroup and now have a right size, because it's not working to recognize it's a part of you when it's acting like it's the whole of you. Yeah. It's not gonna just, march in with great gratitude to that smallness. That's actually very, its bigness is really small, but that smallness. Yeah, basically, but if you see it's not you, then there's some proportion. Then when it re-enters this fucking activity, it doesn't have the dominant role anymore because there's been a shift of interest. A shift of interest, definitely. You lose interest in self, like we say in AA around the third step. One of the first big effects of turning your will and life over to the care of something greater than yourself is when you take that position of something greater than yourself, you start losing interest in self, but not as a self. Yeah. because as a self, that's more interest in self. But it's a clean loss of interest because there's a losing of interest, not as self, but from self. Yeah. Yeah. And so it gets somewhat right sized. Yeah, the thing, it's like the boil or whatever, the tumor shrinks to the point where it's not noticeable, where before it was everything. Yeah. Yes, it's all it, because we are all there is, then every aspect of anything and everything is of us. Yeah. But when a little aspect says it's all of us, it needs to be looked at. Yes, you need to pull it. And how are you going to pull it out of you if it's you? How are you going to do a fearless, thorough inventory if it's you? You're going to be blinded to a lot of shit because it's not in your best interest as self to know a lot of shit. Yeah, because it will be like, even for me, like getting run over by the car, my head blacked out that whole experience. I've visited in dreams. I've never seen whatever really happened. I've seen versions of what, but there was a mercy in it. It just blacked out and I came out of a coma and I was in another movie, like a hospital movie. And I had no memory of the segue from a whiny, unwilling to grow up, self-centered fucking lunatic to a hospital patient. It was no slow, it was like, and then there was no, I couldn't get ready for the next segue. Woke up in the movie. What? That was the most surprising of it, really. When I saw my sister-in-law's face in the doorway of the hospital room, I knew I was screwed. And then it all started coming to, oh, this tube. Yeah. Because my nose looked huge. I didn't know what happened to my nose. It was stuffed up with shit. My mouth was super dry. They gave me this orange flavored cotton ball. It was terrible. And then the whole reality of the new movie, which isn't real, just came on me. And I was like, wow, it would have been great to escape this role. I had signed the contract. You know what I mean? All right, here you go. 10 months in a hospital bed by yourself. See how that goes. You want to know loneliness, it's pretty interesting. When you're the one stationary in the hospital room, you have roommates, they get better, go. You're still there. The people are coming and going, you're still there. Yeah, so it just, it's a simple message, really. It's quite disarming. And if you get the flavor of this new logic, let's call it, you'll taste it more and more. Yeah. You'll see the flavor it's in everything. You'll get a taste of it. You'll see the seamlessness of really what's going on. And you notice, like in a life of recovery, through the mechanisms of, the life of addiction and the mechanism of recovery, how everything has been put to good use. Everything has value. The worst shit that I had thought, no fucking way was there any value in this, was put to great use when I got into recovery. Yeah, that's a large mind doing that. Yes, that's not a myopic, turned on itself view. Yeah, it's a win-win. It's like, I have it by giving it away. What cocaine dealer ever practiced that? I have the coke by giving it away. No, fuck you. I'm going to keep as much as I can. Yeah, but this is what happens. Perhaps there is a better way, a different way. The message isn't a way of life, but it will influence your way of life, or this way of life, greatly. But it isn't a way of life. It's before that. Yeah. It's before that. It's that I think Jesus was implying when he says, you're in this world, but you're not of this world. Yeah. So you're in this world, seemingly, but you're not of this world, definitely. Yeah. And then that of starts leaking in more into the in. And you realize what you were trying to get out of the in, it doesn't have available. The in is actually a place to express from the of. It's not a shopping cart. It's not a supermarket. You're not going to get everything you want. But as a place of expression, it's awesome. Yeah. You can express here the satisfaction that you used to look for here. Yeah. You can express a contentment that wasn't bought here or acquired here or arrived at or achieved, but it's naturally endowed. It's available. You have the ability to enjoy peace of mind. Yeah. And the beautiful thing, there's peace of mind, enjoying it or not, there is peace of mind. It's available. Yeah. The only thing that's blocking it is not the mind and not the peace, it's us. It's the activity of this bondage of self. And if you see through it, its main engine, which is the identification as you, which is garnering all the attention and interest, will be broken. You'll see it's not you. Just like when I was young, we used to use the example of I'm interested in this girl and in the other room. She's running some other meeting. And I'm really interested that I'm not paying attention to this meeting. And people start noticing, oh, hey, you don't seem to be here. I'm going, yeah, I get what they're saying, but the horses are more interested in that bond. So they're out there trying to hear her say, hey, I like that guy, Paul. And then, wow, then I'll meet her for coffee. You know, I'll bump in, oh, hey, would you like to have some coffee? Because I don't want to get rejected at all costs. So I have to hedge the bet. So yeah, I'm listening. And then finally she says something, I like that guy, Matt. My name's not Matt. I lose interest in that conversation like that because it's not about me anymore. Yeah, completely. But while I'm in there thinking it is about me, people come up to the desk and give me a book, How to Lose Interest in Another Conversation in Another Room. And I read it, I agree, but I can't. It's still going there because she means a huge amount in my little story. Yeah. But as soon and when I hear it's not about me, it's not, I don't have to send a Navy 6 SEAL team to retrieve my attention. It just goes, it just comes right back to where I'm sitting. Yeah, like that. Yeah. Why? What's the premise of it all? I lost interest in the conversation because it wasn't about me. What about the same condition here? You lose interest in the conversation because now you've taken the main plug out, which is you. It's you. It's not about you. It's about a you. A you. Yeah. It's not about you. And that's the point is it works and it's a fact. So this isn't any mumbo jumbo. It's the truth. Yeah. And you look at the power that you have, not you as Kaiser, but you as this representative, you can make shit out of nothing. Yeah. Could you imagine if that power to make shit out of nothing was put into something really true? You finally, instead of making what's not happening seem to happen, you would be making what's happening. Yeah. You would be in alignment with it. The power that's there is incredible. Yeah. It's difficult to fucking keep making what's not happening happen. To think it so fucking much. There's a lot of obsession. There's a lot of work on that. To allow what's happening to be what's happening is quite easy. There's no effort at all. You don't have to do anything. Yeah. And then you couldn't, it's the minutiae is the greatness, you know, just what you see as you're walking around or how you're feeling or something. Yeah. And that the thoughts can continue and it's not affecting your contentment at all. Yeah, the thoughts can do their little thing. They run back and forth. But before that used to steal supposedly the contentment, but it doesn't anymore. You're content. And there's an assurance in that because it's not something that you achieve with the idea that you could lose. It's available at all times, right where we are. Yeah, just get clear about certain things. Let these misunderstandings that we've been relying on be seen not to be reliable. And I'll tell you, something will grow underneath you, a true basis. Yeah. And you will, like in Zen, you will see blue is blue and red is red. There'll be a clarity there. And you'll have a sense of assurance and relief. Yeah. Even though you don't have evidence maybe of it. You don't need evidence of it. Yeah, it's beyond the point of evidence gathering. You've been convinced. Yeah, something landed, never left, and told you nothing ever really happened. Every time I think I've arrived at this lovely place, the first thing that you're informed of, it's always been this way. So basically, do I throw that out or the story of me arriving? I gladly give up the story of me arriving. Yeah. So.
Oh, when you said, you were talking about, they're not my thoughts anymore, they're the thoughts.
They were never my thoughts,
Right.
not anymore, never, yeah.
But
Yeah.
the realization that's like the fish, when you say the fish looks and he goes, oh, I'm in the water. I've always been in the water.
Yes, that's right. And the thing with thoughts, see some people say the first thought isn't yours, then all the rest are. You're not responsible for the first, all the rest are. The thoughts are just like they follow an algorithm. The selfing hits a little algorithm and then you get fed thoughts. And it sounds like the story of Paul. You would think, oh yeah, anyone could have that first thought, but these are about my life, the next 38 of them or 40. It's just a fucking algorithm. It's like when I had a hernia operation and I was looking at hernia belts, the next day on my news feed were hernia belt fucking, with next to a shoe thing, there'd be a hernia belt fucking thing. Because something was, looking at my little activities and started doing a tailor-made little story. Yeah, and here's the products I can sell to this tailor-made story. Yeah, so people go, well, why? They must be mine because they're all about me, but you're not that me they're all about. Don't you understand? Yeah.
You said something about like there was a little break in the logic and there was a huh?
A lot of those.
And what, yeah, but it's been a while. You'd said the selfing, me as Kaiser, I'm not, or whatever the hell I am, I'm not doing the selfing. It's not volitional.
No.
There's a compulsion to at least identify with something, and it seems very natural. So it seems that I am selfing. And you said it's not volitional.
No.
There's selfing going on. And that was like, what the hell? With that, do I just open up to the insecurity?
Don't do anything, see, yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, so go into the insecurity and just let it be there.
Well, the insecurity is the only secure place.
Okay,
Yes. Yes.
it's not volitional. Selfing is.
Of course
not
it isn't
volitional.
volitional, because if it was, you would have stopped. Yeah. If it was volitional, would you be doing it at 2 a.m. when you have an important engagement at 7? You would
So
like to
step-
sleep, wouldn't you?
Stepping into that insecurity is allowing those thoughts and the compulsion to identify to go, and it's insecure, but step into that and be curious about that.
Well, the fact is you're in it already.
I understand.
What you do is give up the false security. You don't give it up. You see it's false. And then you find out where you've always been, which is in an uncertain, I don't know state. Yeah, you don't know. This whole event is above our pay grade.
Which is just the same as the mission of powerlessness, just a different word.
Exactly. This is severely limited. It's not the great explorer you think it is.
So spelling.
It has ideas of every place it wants to travel to. It doesn't have, you're not gonna get anything new. Yes?
Opening up to the, I don't know.
Right.
Well, look at what the knowing did.
Yeah.
Almost killed you, so, yeah. I mean, seriously, it's not like there's no volition in that either. There's just reckonings, and then you start leaning a different way. I don't know, it's sort of like a teeter-totter, like, action figure. It may think it's making the choice to go right, but it's something else. It's just something pushes you, and now you're like this, and then the weight just makes you lean more into it. Like to me, like Ramana says, your head is in the tiger's mouth. Basically, it's too late. Yeah. So I'm not the little action toy isn't gonna right itself. So might as well fucking hang out. Yeah. And the thing is, there's a verification that doesn't need a stamp. Yes. It doesn't need a notary public, whatever. It's already. You know it. That's why this invitation doesn't have any handcuffs or you're pinned down to the mat and fed it through a tube. It's a simple invitation because basically I'm assured you're already at where you think you're not. You're already at that place. Yeah, you are. You can't be anywhere else. This is the easiest job in the world. My whole job is to give you nothing, really, because you're everything in a way. So to give you more something just prolongs this little event, and that's fine too. But you could, like the Course in Miracles, one of its main like themes or let's say purposes is to save us time. Yeah, because time, there can be exquisite suffering played on the instrument of time. Yes, it can be. People can really, drill themselves a new one, listening to a symphony of thoughts. Yes, and to save time here is one of the greatest boons in the event of dreaming, because time plays a huge influence here. Yes, time draws out a lot of things. Yes, draws it out, and sometimes it can go in like insanely slow when you'd like it to go quick, and extremely quick when you'd like it to slow down. Yeah, like some people are having a bad day. Their experience of that day is more than a day. It feels like forever. Yeah. And who can gauge that? I don't know. I'm not in someone else's experience. I don't think I touched upon depression. That what I've came to garner from people sharing about it, I don't think I've been there, where, everything is ponderously fucking like it's never gonna be different. And that's a snow job, really, by the head. It's playing around with the instruments of the dreaming. Yeah, it's shortening when you're feeling really good and elongating the possibility of feeling really bad. It's playing with you as an instrument, really. I think it can produce exquisite suffering. I've seen people, dig their own grave, like, much deeper than 6 feet, much deeper. So the head. So to save time is an incredible, valuable thing. Yeah, in this place. So this message is basically that, you can never not be ourselves reality. It's sort of like, if the fact is we're all awake, not as this individual activity, but as what we are, we're all awake. And the only basic two possibilities are you're awake to that fact or you're asleep to that fact. But it doesn't change the fact that you're awake. So what would happen, what would be great value here is if you're seemingly asleep to that fact, that you could come to be awake to that fact. Yeah. No changing the fact, but just changing this imaginary little condition. Yeah. And speeding it up. Yeah. So that you can live here awake to the fact that you're awake. Yes. Instead of driving yourself fucking crazy to get something that you already are. Yeah. And then travel whatever life has in store for you with a somewhat different or more relaxed manner. Yeah. Even though you may be very driven and everything like that, there still can be a chilled outness there based on these major misunderstandings being corrected. Yeah. Can you imagine if you did shit before under the influence? Yeah. And the stubbornness of the story that you're the doer no matter what happens. So therefore the head has been cultivating and harvesting guilt and shame based on the behaviors you exhibited when you were under the influence, that you could be free from that fucking production, that there was no more guilt and shame being cultivated from that shit that happened, that the door of the past wasn't shut and there was no regretting it now because you've seen that something did through you what you never would have done yourself. Something took you over and did a lot of fucking shit, and you got left holding the bag, and you've been smelling that bag of shit for 33 years. The guilt and shame is still fucking, because it's about you, yes? Yeah, can you imagine that? Can you imagine being relieved of that? Yeah, as a basis, relief from that. Not, it's contained, it's behind fucking super thick steel walls. No, it's, you saw something, you saw it, and there was a convincing. Yeah, there was no way in hell you're gonna ever convince me there was someone called Paul volitionally choosing to, on all fours, look around that rug at lint and thinking it was cocaine. There's no fucking way. I don't care. You could be the saint of all saints. I still wouldn't believe, because my experience, my deep, intimate experience was something took me over. That fucking simple. Yeah. And when the shit hit the fan, it sort of split. It just hovered around, and then it critiqued the condition that it actually promoted. I mean, it's a true, it has a sadistic quality, really. It won't leave you alone. It just wants to see you suffer. It's a strange thing, Luke, yeah. To lessen that orbit and to decrease the amount of orbiting is fucking monumental. To travel later is incredible. Just on that one aspect, there's so many more aspects this message touches, because it's all of you. So all the appearances of what you're not are going to be affected by this, because this is all of you. Yeah. This is truly the original Paul prior to the appearance of Paul. It's that, yeah. To let it in here a little more, because a lot of times it's shut out by the head. The head loves to live in what's not happening. And, like we used to say in AA, when you live in the past, there's no God there other than self. And when you live in the future, there's no God, there's other than self. You're in its fucking domain, basically. And it's playing God on you. Yeah. And it's going to present a lot of false evidence. Yeah. They may have a little kernel of truth, and it will just fucking use that kernel of truth to, produce some fucking incredible thing. Yes. And you keep getting this false evidence appearing real, but it's only presented. Yeah. We're the ones that play the game of having it appear real. We are the audience that gets sucked up into the screen. Yeah. Therefore, we can be unsucked up. Like it says in AA, you can outgrow these conditions. You can outgrow fear. You can outgrow this. You can outgrow that. Yeah. Yeah. But not as self. Why did you think they said self can't get out of self? Because they tried. They've been trying for years in early sobriety, and in a community you entered in San Francisco, you heard it quite a lot. Self can't get out of self. Yeah. Why? Because tons of people tried exactly that. Now, when they were trying it, they were calling it Paul getting out of self, Bill getting out of self. Yeah. And Paul and Bill failed, and there'd be more obsession around Paul and Bill as failing the escape from self. But sooner or later, you see through that shit and you realize self can't get out of self. So Paul, AKA self, can never get out of self. Yeah, that's why. So then non-duality comes in and gives you the novel approach, which is no approach. It says you're not in that which you want to get out of. What? Yeah. And you've never been in that which you want to get out of. What? Yeah. And it doesn't bend to you. Oh, well, I like your idea, but I want to get out of it. I want to use it to get out of it. Yeah, no, it doesn't budge. It just keeps presenting. Yeah, you're not going to experience your own absence. You're not there. The party sucks as soon as you arrive. You're never going to catch it when it's great. As soon as you show up, it sucks. Yeah. And we're looking for that formula. How can I get to the party and be there and enjoy it as me? It doesn't work. As soon as you show up, it sucks. Yeah. I've been trying to get out of here since I was 6 years old. I swear to God, I don't know what it was, but I wanted out. I didn't like, I felt weird in the family. I felt weird, you know, there was a phase as the memory of the action figure where the life was happening. You know, I was running around, running into rooms, doing this. And then one day I did something and it was accompanied by thought. And from that day on, everything I ever did was accompanied by thought, except for things that felt like the loves of my life, you know, being with someone I really love, surfing and shit like that. I'd have moments when there was no thoughts or there was no paying attention to the thoughts because I was so engaged. But as soon as I left the water, it was wondering, did anyone see me catch that big wave? It was always, again, it would kick in. And I thought I had a belief that you could have a peak experience or enough Kundalini or something that could break that. And I tried it with overdosing very voluntarily, trying to, because I figure before the body completely died, I could be free of fucking this thing, whatever it was. And it was worth it to me. It was worth if I would have 5 seconds, of an awareness and of the being free of it, I would fucking die. I could care less. It got to that point. So then I got sober, and it was, we have this aspect we speak about the thief and the policeman as like two Siamese, a Siamese twin set. Yeah. So the thief finally was noticed, and it was alcoholic and a drug addict. And that the thief got objectified, and there was some distance from the thief now. But then the whole dimension of the policeman, perfection comes in. You can't do fucking anything. Yeah. Because it could be wrong. It was just, it was worse than the thief life. I'd rather get fucking arrested and shit than to have this thing sit on you all day, critiquing you and observing every little move you make or don't make. It was fucking another hell. You know what I mean? So shit. Oh man. The bondage of self is sort of, let's say you have the potential to reach 12 feet, it'll have you reach only 8 feet. Yes, it doesn't maneuver, it just starts limiting you. Yeah, more and more, and you start adapting to smaller space. Yeah, and you start putting up with a lot of fucking shit, really.
You only have to see the policeman operate once to know or the assumption that when you see the thief, the policeman very well may be operating through your perception.
Well, it comes right up after the seeing of the thief.
Yeah.
The seeing of the thief, the seeing is clear. The seeing gets claimed, and that appears as the policeman. So now the policeman's walking the beat to keep the thief at bay. Yeah. And so you're living in a certain probationary period where the policeman's watching the thief like fucking all the time, any move and shit like that. And that sucks.
It's difficult to see the policeman. You can obviously see the thief, but seeing the thief implies that, oh, there's a policeman watching.
Yeah, how else
You
could
can
you
see
do
the
the thief?
policeman once, and then a lot of times I don't see the policeman, but seeing the thief, I'm like, there's the policeman right there.
Well, the thing is, but there is a space where there's just seeing the thief. But the space is that seeing is claimed. It takes a little time, but we're unaware of it. So we become aware of it after it's done the deal. So now the seeing has been neutered because something has claimed to be the seer, and it takes the role of the policeman looking at the thief. Yeah. And so now people live in a life, all right, I'm gonna do this shit and get the thief's gonna behave now. And it was the thief that was robbing me of my life, yet it has this fucking thing sitting on it, constantly surveilling you and judging and critiquing you. And then you realize, fuck yeah, I need a drink. That's why I fucking got loaded, was to get out of, I was trying to get out of the policeman. I couldn't take the policeman. So I became a thief, and then the same policeman seemed to nab me. But there is no, it's just the claiming, yeah? We use these images because people tend to stop at one thing when it's not two. So the not two in that example is not thief, not policeman. Yeah. Remember, non-duality is not two. It's not one. So it's not two. So the selfing has two aspects of it. Yeah, it has more, but all you need to do is see two. It's sort of like on these electric bikes now. They have 3 modes of pedal assist, yeah? Now, some bikes have 9 pedal assists, but there's just 3 of the 3 modes, right? They do it 3 times, some do it 2 times, but it's the same, yeah? It's 3, yeah. So the same thing with this. The claiming is the underlying, the policeman and the thief are just putting a, painting a picture on the claiming. So there's a claiming of whatever is being introduced to you through that awareness. So let's say wherever you're seeing life from, the head arises pretty quickly and says, I'm the one seeing life from there. Yeah. So it just doesn't leave the seeing alone. It places the image of you as the body, and now the seer is what's seeing the thief. And that seer is the policeman, is the imagery of you as of this body seeing the thief. And then thinking you have great clarity about the thief, but with no clarity about the policeman. Yeah. That's like being a professor of holes, yet you keep falling in the holes because you didn't see the second aspect. It's sort of like you fell through the first, trap door, but there's another trap door that most of us don't see. So once you see the two-ness of it, every time it multiplies, you recognize the same principle, yes? That whatever's going on, and there's a lot of awareness going on, like all the time. And the awareness that we are aware of is claimed to imply it's Paul that's aware. Yeah, that is the policeman, yes? So that awareness has become aware of an aspect that's not of you. And then that aspect of not of you claims it and now makes another you looking at the other you. Yeah. If you want, you don't have to have the numbers of the diagram. You have a feeling of it. You recognize it through a sense. You recognize, wow, the same thing that was talking as the thief sure sounds like the police. I didn't know he went to a Evelyn Wood speed reading police academy because that was just, the thief was just talking and now he's got a different uniform on. It's the policeman. So, yeah. The principle is the first movement of the mental activity is to claim. Or as Trungpa Rinpoche, a master from Tibetan Buddhism, he had a famous book called Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism. The first page in that, he says, the first thing you need to know, something like this, is the ego, that's what he was calling, will take advantage of whatever it's brought into contact with. That's the claiming, yeah? So what it's mostly brought into contact with isn't things, it's brought into contact with awareness. So it's claiming the awareness of things. It's claiming to be the seer of things, yes? But it's representing itself as a thing, and things don't see things. Whatever can be perceived cannot be perceived. Yeah, so what we are saw a lot of shit. What says we saw it isn't what we are. Yeah, that's simple. And it's not bad or good. You don't have to sort of build 2 different kennels and put the bad and good. It's the whole pie you just let go. You just lose interest in it because it gets to be very, very, it's just repetitive and repetitive and repetitive. It goes on and on and on and on and on. And all you need to know is this one principle. You don't have to get into geometry or algebra about it. It's basic math, yeah? Yeah, there's nothing and 1 and 1 equals 2. So see or seen equals 2, seeing is nothing. Seeing is 0, there's no one doing it. Yes, see or seen, 1, 2, nothing. That's the negation. The negation is of the seer and seen. So that what you really sense more than the seer and seen, which is manufactured, is the seen. So now there's a sense of awareness, yeah, or if people feel it as a presence. You start feeling a presence throughout the day, and it's not like a fucking aftershave, cologne, or fucking perfume. It's a presence of onness. You're living, your hand is on the pulse, yeah, you're here now, yeah. Yeah, so you don't need to know it. Something already knows it. That's just, it's sort of like feeding a certain amount of information and you know it's going to cause a crash. Yeah. So you feed the information and then there's a crash. The mental logic can't understand this. It's going to see any doing happens, it believes there's a doer. If it ain't you and it ain't me, it's going to be God. It's going to somehow, why? This has to be coming from somewhere. No, it doesn't. There's no somewhere. Yeah, there's no awareness isn't issuing forth from Nebraska. It's not in a location. Yeah, it isn't in time. Things seem to happen and a reaction. In this, there's no act and react. It's just going on. Yeah, it doesn't follow a linear process. This is how we get tricked, because the mental state uses time in a different way. It presupposes something. So it comes after the event and says you're before the event.
Tell a little bit more about that presupposing piece.
Well, presupposing, pre means before, yes? So there's a supposing something.
Before the claiming.
No, there's the claiming, yes. See, there's the claiming, and then the presupposing implies that that was you that was doing the claiming. So it presupposes you that came after the claiming. The claiming is pictured as a you, and then the you is presupposed, and now you think you were doing it. It's like people call me all the time in the old days. I got what you're saying, and I notice I've been selfing all day. That's a perfect illustration of it. Or they say, selfing has been driving me crazy. It's a perfect illustration of it, yeah. So the selfing, yes, was first, and then the claiming came the you, and now the you is now being driven crazy. But it came after the selfing, yeah. But how it's driven crazy is it's before, yeah. And then its assumption of being before is it shouldn't be having a lot of shit that's happening that happens to a lot of people. It feels like it has a sense of entitlement and it should be exempt because it's before that. Just like the idea that it's the thinker, it feels like it has some power over thoughts. And it's always frustrated and confused when that's not evidence for that to happen. Yeah, you would think if you had power over thoughts, you wouldn't think at 2 a.m. But you sometimes get woken up, yes? And then the head goes off because you're powerless, like in recovery, yeah? And we're not admitting the powerlessness, so we experience it a lot. If you admit the powerlessness and see it, then you don't have the experience of being powerless. You get power, you feel power, yeah? Yeah. I think I've beaten everyone into, look at Nina, she's done. She's so cooked out. Yeah. It's different than Zoom, isn't it, honey? Zoom is pretty.
I was so happy. I was enjoying it,
I
not
know.
even asking questions.
I know.
I thought that would be good.
It's great.
This is peace of mind.
I know. I was watching you. I was watching you being lost. It was good.
I was just remembering when I heard this, and I told you this yesterday, when I felt it, I felt the activity of the verbing, and knowing there's no noun before it. And just, it all made me so happy, because since I was 6 years old, it says if there was a hostile interloper that had been present, and I was on to it only recently, because this is what I would say. I would go, I've got a really, really, really good idea this time. I figured it out, and I finally recognize that was assuredness that this was gonna be horrible, you know? But it had taken like a gazillion times of that, but it was like, the energy of that was, it was terrifying because it was in my body. You know what I mean? But it was the selfing process.
Yes.
But for you to explain to me that there was actually no boogeyman and that it was just this mental activity,
Yeah,
was like, I
yes.
believe that.
The thing is, with the mental activity, you have to sort of combine it with its mechanical, because people will feel like they're doing it. Yeah, the mental activity.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people don't want knowledge, because it implies responsibility, because they think they're doing it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they don't want to hear how the head works, because they think, I'm doing that. Why the hell would I do it? No, there's no volition. There's no one doing it. It's mechanical. That's why you can do a fearless, thorough inventory of it, because it's you're not the doer of it. Who wants to hear that they're a piece of shit all day, or come to a conclusion that you've blown everything? You're gonna fucking try to avoid that at all costs, fuck your head. But when you see that it's not, you are not doing it, then you can see it with clear eyes. You can see what's happening. I had that experience. One of the first big ones in AA was, I was hanging out with my friends. I had 6 months of sobriety. We were riding motorcycles. My girlfriend, or hopeful girlfriend, was on the back. He had a girlfriend. We drove to his place. He had an apartment in the city. We go up the stairs, and this lady was coming down with a pair of blue jeans. She had paint on her pants and stuff. We passed her, went into his apartment. He forgot something in the bike, went down, got it. And as he came up, he must have met his neighbor, and he came in and he says, Paul, my neighbor wants to ask you something. I thought he told her I was a house painter, and I was gonna get, obviously she was painting her apartment. I was gonna give her advice, yeah. But she walked in and she said, hello, Paul. And I didn't recognize it. And she said, you owe me $500. Yeah. And it was some lady who had moved into an apartment, who I would say it was my apartment. And I asked them for a down payment, and it would go to me, not to the landlord. Yeah. And so when the whole thing fell apart, she got suckered out of $500. So here I was, caught with my proverbial pants down. I'd like to impress the girl and my friends, and they just pulled my pants down. But because listening to the description of alcoholism, I got the idea of it's a disease, which allowed me a lot more space than if it was a moral or I had chosen to do it all. I had gotten a sense that something I was dancing with a gorilla, and I was going to stop when the gorilla wanted to stop. So I looked, and so I didn't have any weird feeling or anything. I just heard it. I said, okay. And I told her, I gave her a check that day for some of it. And I said, the only reason why you're seeing this is I'm in recovery. Yeah. And I sent her the money. And after a while, she'd call me up for a fucking advice.
Painting?
Not painting. Living. So $500. Yeah. So that was an incredible experience, because I had seen something had changed. Because most of my running away was from the guilt and shame of all those past behaviors. I didn't want to have a judgment day, because I completely believed I was convicted. So I would just try to stay oblivious as much as I could, pretty much every day, really. And this slowly but surely, things were introduced to me, and I would arrive at a being convinced. Yeah, it would sink. The message would just sink, and it would land, and it would stop sinking, and that would be a platform, a base. And some of them never changed. They just sunk, and it was like a replacement of the old floor with a new floor while I was dancing on the floor. Yeah, it was done while I was living. And then suddenly I had a reliable foundation. I was trusting the higher power. I totally got into surrender, because I got struck sober, and a surrender was fucking dumped on me, really. And that feeling, that drive to escape, and I never had a strong feeling or thought about drinking or using now for 33 years, which I said, that's a pretty damn good solution if you know the severity of active alcohols and addiction, not to have a strong feeling to drink or use or a thought for this long is fucking a miracle. And yet something did for me what I couldn't do for myself. There you go. And then more was revealed. And then non-duality came in, and that was the clincher, really. Because I had never thought, all I was thinking was the out format. I never was questioning the in, really. I just assumed a lot of shit was true, you know, Paul is this and everything. Yet all of the dilemma was arising out of this assumption. And then non-duality just told me, hey. And when I heard your spiritual practices themselves are reinforcing this non-existent thing, I went, yep. When it said you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha, yep. Yeah, it was, all the shoes fit. And I just wore them, and they took you, the shoes did the walking. You didn't, they took you places. And then you heard new ideas or an elaboration of this message, and something else sunk. Yeah. And some of the times, that's the last you see one of the whack-a-moles. The mole population goes down. So you don't have to be a master of whacking the mole. The moles don't come up much. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So, yeah. In a life like this, I don't see a greater 1-2 punch than non-duality and recovery. And usually in this time frame, it's recovery, then non-duality. But when you entertain non-duality, it's before everything. But in this linear dream, it was recovery and then non-duality. But non-duality is not a path to illumination, but it will illuminate whatever path you're on, for sure, completely. Right? Yeah, yeah. So there you go. Now you can go home and sleep. Yes, watch Die Hard 3. Yeah, let's see if anyone has any questions. Like,
Anybody want to raise their hand?
anyone want to raise their hand?
David.
David.
Are David?
No.
G'day everyone. G'day Paul.
Oh, Australia, Dave. Where is it?
Yeah. Can you hear me
I
properly?
think the line's off.
Hold on.
Can you hear?
David?
Okay, try now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Unlike other meetings or other things of this I've been to of yours, Paul, I've wanted to. This one I come in wanting to ask a question.
Yes.
because I had a really freaky situation last night, but then as the meeting went on, the question when I couldn't figure out a question to ask, so that's a good thing. But
Yes.
I just wanted to share a thing. I've got a good friend who I spent a lot of time with last night till the wee hours of this morning at about 3 o'clock, and we started off together talking to each other, and there was just the two of us, it seemed like to me, her as the shell and me as I thought aware. I thought I was awareness, you know, I had it all down. But within about 2 or 3 hours, there was 5 of us there. Her mind, my mind, 2 shells and a little bit of awareness getting its ass kicked. And that went on for a fair while to the state that I was actually physically shaken for a good hour with her. And then it all swung around again. She was sort of, I perceived her mind was trying to pull me apart. And it all swung around again. And then she gave me the most beautiful hug as I left the place at 3 o'clock this morning. And I drove home in a pretty good sort of feeling like I was a little bit aware again. Or I know you're always aware. I can't really put things into the right words. But I woke up this morning and it's like my 10 days of semi-zen have come to a grinding halt. Anyway,
Yes.
there's no question there. I
Yes.
just
I think he hit
But-
something.
Oh, you know what? I think my speaker might be.
Hold
Hold
on.
on, David.
Yeah, I just felt I had to share that. There was like
But
I said,
you stopped, we lost you at the semi-zen, the 10 days of semi-zen.
well, there wasn't much more. 10 days of semi-zen seems to have come to a grinding halt right just now. But maybe it's
Hallelujah.
back. Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. It was a scary experience last night. It's horrible being with 4 other people, but you can only see one. You know.
Yeah. David, a lot's going to be revealed. More will be revealed, as we say in recovery. Yeah.
I
Just
actually
get comfortable in the tiger's mouth. That's all. You're not going anywhere.
the last 10 days, I actually have felt just for the last 10 days, but maybe today maybe I'm actually feeling a little bit of that right now. It's sort of slowed down a little bit for a few hours, but it's still there. Yeah. You got to come crashing down every now and again.
Yeah, it's not you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're always happy to see you, David. Yeah. Yeah.
It's actually nice coming here because it's nice being. I think I said once here before that I feel like my addiction in life has been wanting people to save me. Everyone has to save me. I don't feel I've ever had a problem with alcohol and drugs. I hope I don't find out I have. I don't know if I could handle that. I don't know if I could handle that as well. But it's everyone I seem to. One thing I tell you, I really notice a lot is everyone I seem to meet. Recently, even this morning, I had to do go and do a little bit of business this morning, and people are talking a certain way and telling me things that I'm just not interested in anymore. I'm struggling to be polite to them, you know, and they're good people, but it's like I don't want to hear that. It's really fucking me up, you know. I don't want to really hear that, you know. I suppose a bit selfish, but yeah.
We need to get daily reports from you, David. Okay. Daily reports from Mars featuring David. Yes.
And not much happens down here. You guys are always on top of us, squashing us like the 53rd state of America down here.
Yeah, yes, yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm happy to see you, Dave, and keep coming back, please. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Paul, and thanks everybody else too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And John R., another Australian, another disproportionate.
Oh, and John R., yes. Yes, John R.
Hi, Paul. Good to see you.
Yes, nice to see you, John.
Yeah, just a few things. I'm finding, obviously been into a lot of the Zoom meetings where you're just talking and then the questioner is on the other end of the Zoom. There's a different energy tonight where you have people in the room with you. I really resonated with that.
Yeah.
Completely different for me anyway. So that's great. And I'm just wondering, like you continually say, or I don't know about that, but there's no path, right? So as I looked, there was a recognition some years ago, and there was a time when you mentioned like you're in Australia or something, and your girlfriend says, "Do the dishes." There's no Paul.
Yeah.
And
that didn't work well.
Yeah, for sure. But prior to that, for me, there was a eureka moment, like, fuck, I've got it. So I caught the lightning in the bottle sort of thing. And then it's, not really there, or there's a box of sunshine or whatever. I don't know if you understand what I mean.
We do, yeah.
But so there's a euphoric state, honeymoon state. And then there was the period of there's no John to do the laundry and shit. So I just sort of it piled up, and I'm going, it's all okay. There was nobody there to give a shit, really. But then reality kicks in, you know, and the mice have moved in, and there's been some snakes to come and collect the mice. So it's changed a bit. It sounds dramatic, but it's the truth. And it's like, okay, so that's done. You better start washing the clothes and cleaning up, you know, and get back on track, as it were. But I guess through that, there's still this undenying journey, which is obviously awareness, but my life seems to happen in spite of me, as it were. You know, and life's good. I haven't had a complaint for many years, really. It just happens, and I'm hanging in for the ride, as it were. So I don't know if that makes sense. That's a bit of a summary anyway. I just wanted to acknowledge your message is profound, and you always seem to have the words to just cut through. And I find that I don't have any of that. So there's a definite gift there, I observe, because I don't have any inclination to discuss it with anybody, or like my experience has been that I just, you know, piss people off. So it's better that I leave it to you for sure, because you seem to have that delivery approach, which is less confronting, perhaps. I've seen people on your show look quite scared after their confrontation with themselves. And I wonder if that settles. How does that settle for some people? I guess there's 100 different journeys or more. But yeah, thanks anyway. Thank you. I'm waffling. Oh, happy Christmas to everybody from Australia. The sun's out.
Thanks for the box of sunshine.
Yeah, mate, it's beautiful.
Thanks, John.
Very happy. Thank you.
Yes, always a pleasure, and thank you.
And thanks to the Mike, to yes. Mike. He's kind of the ventriloquist, and you're the dummy, maybe. Yeah. I'm sorry if that insults you. I'm sorry.
I think we should end on that.
Yeah.
I'm feeling some wood pains.
Oh, sorry.
Wooden elbows.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
I would definitely be a dummy with no volition, because I never would have chosen Mike as my ventriloquist. So that proves a principle right there.
Yeah.
Oh, we had some doozies from Australia. Thank you, John. Wow.
I hope to catch up sometime and experience some of the energy that I'm feeling now.
Oh, great. Yeah. We have, it's such a privilege to have people here, and it's really,
it's electrifying.
I'm fine with Zooms, but I definitely miss live. Yeah. I don't miss it until I do it, then I miss it. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So, yeah. It has a nice, it has a quality that's nice.
Yeah.
Thanks, John. That was great. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Can you see Mike's mouth move? Yeah. There it is.
Nope.
It's Oz, the guy behind the curtain. All right. Anyone else have a question or anything?
I don't see another hand.
All right. I think we'll end it. Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. No? We have another Australian? Ash R.
All right. Let Ash in. Yes.
So much for us being.
It's Australia Day. It's Australia Day today. Yes.
Yeah. Hey, Paul. I couldn't help myself. A couple of other Aussies, I thought I'd jump in. I just wanted to say thank you, brother. I've been listening to your message for probably about the last 12 months. I've made it to a couple of these Zooms, and it's just had a profound impact on me, and really changed the way that I approach recovery, and just given me a profound sense of peace that I don't need to furiously go looking for the correct spiritual path, or, you know, I spent a lot of time doing that, you know, down the line of Vipassana and various different sort of practices. And then coming across this message of non-duality, it just landed for me. And I can really relate to your story with, you know, using intravenous drugs to try and blot out the self, or get rid of the self, or to get some relief from that, you know, from that mental suffering. And I had a funny sort of journey. I stumbled across psychedelics and had a pretty profound psychedelic experience, which led me into recovery. And then recovery has led me to that message of non-duality. And I've heard you share before, you know, that the psychedelics can sometimes be useful for dreaming yourself out of the dream. And that was very much my experience. I was, you know, sort of neck deep in a intravenous drug addiction that had been going on for 15 years, and then stumbled across, you know, a psychedelic, and it just something clicked for me, and then that was how I found recovery. And then hearing this message of non-duality just helped me see the big book in a different sort of light. And yeah, I just wanted to thank you, man. I don't think I've got any questions left. So yeah, I just wanted to thank you very much, Paul, and thank you for your continued efforts and service.
Thank you. Yes. And I'll thank the ventriloquist, Michael Z, for talking these wonderful words through my wooden lips,
Effortless.
He's very smooth, but he treats me very badly in the box he puts me in. It's very tight. I was freezing last night. All right, hey, listen, we're gonna say goodnight, eh? I can't take any more fucking grief from Ozzy. No, the last one was great. It leavened John and David's little rants. We love Oz. We miss it, and we can't wait to get back there. Actually, we really enjoy being over there. So, but maybe we won't run into you three though. No, Ash for sure. Ash for
May in
sure.
Australia too?
Huh?
Isn't Craig May from Australia?
Craig May is no. Craig, I don't think's from Australia. All right. Well, listen. Can we say goodnight now? That's it. Yeah. Anyone else here have a question? No. Hey, we'll be here again tomorrow at 11 Pacific time, and this is called, what is it called? A treat?
Yeah, treat reading.
Yeah.
A treat.
And the next will be a treat.
In Italy.
In Italy in September. Next year in September, for sure, maybe. Zen Bitch Slap will be, we're gonna do a 4 or 5 day thing in Italy, near Amelia's home city called Pescara. And so it'll be very nice. So Europeans and stuff can come, you know, if there's a world by September. There's a lot of ifs involved, but if it rolls around, it may be nice. We're gonna have a nice stay in Italy, and Pescara is beautiful, and yeah, it will be in September.
No Aussies.
Outside of
No
Pescara.
Aussies allowed.
No,
No, there'll be plenty of them there. All right, so, and thank you everyone tonight. Nice to see you, Alex, and we got Steve G. Nice to meet you, Steve, up there. We got Ash from Oz, John R. from Oz, David from Oz. We got my friend, who's this guy? I can't see. Gio, nice to see you, Gio.
It's George.
Oh, George, nice to see you again. Yes.
Good to see you, buddy.
Nice to see you. Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Nice. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, I know George. And we got Vlad. Nice to see Vlad. I think he's in Russia now. Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Kenneth, Anu, thank you for your lovely donation. Thank you. Yeah, very much. I can feel your heart from India. It's very nice. And I don't know who this married couple is. Kate? Kate, nice to see you, Kate, and your significant other, I hope. Yeah. Oh, there he is. Oh. Oh, he's right here. Yeah, the picture. Oh, that's good.
Hi, Kate.
Whoops. I told her I went to the store. He's in Novato.
There she is. She's here.
He's in
If you
Novato,
wanna take a look.
California. Oh, there she
Say
is.
honey.
Hello.
Hi,
Nice to
honey.
see you, Kate. Oh,
Hi,
yes.
thanks, Paul.
No, yeah, there you go. Oh, beautiful. Nice to have you. Nice to meet you.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, yes. And that's it. I don't want any, okay, that's it. Hey, good night, I think, yeah? Michael, say good night. Good night.
Mike. You're live, Mike. Come on, you're live.
I'm trying to take Kate off the. How come I can't get rid of the pin?
So hey,
Kate
let's
is-
pass a basket, yeah? Yes, we gotta milk the cow. Do you have a hat on? You wanna get a hat?
No,
So-
that
Or a
was-
bowl or
That was
something?
Nora.
Oh, no.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Mike.
I'm happy you guys, I hope happy you guys came. We were really bad mouthing you. Yeah. Yeah, Nina,
We only had
everyone.
about
I
10
heard,
minutes.
Oh, that's okay. We.
I get a message
Michael,
from
Casey and I
David.
had our own talk.
Oh, did you?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, he said, can you imagine if we were talking right now, if we were doing cocaine?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were actually talking about non-duality and we were like getting way out there and I'm like, yeah, can you imagine?
He's a nice man, Mike.
He's very, I talk to Michael every day.
I gotta have him change his phone number
No, don't do that.
from Amelia wants to get the dog.
No, he's very nice.
She wants to get the seed of the dog
Yeah, there
into
you
Lola
go. You know, he'll
and have
help.
puppies.
There you go.
Paul, how did you,
Yes.
when you were talking to Kate, you said, and you brought up her significant other.
Yeah,
Well, he's here, so what made you say that?
I saw they had a marriage picture.
Oh, you saw a photo?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I didn't
I'm
see-
going,
I didn't see Kate.
how
I
can
saw
he
a
be
photo.
there and here at the same
Yeah,
time?
yeah. She was thinking the same thing, I'm sure. How did he get over there?
And where was she? Where you from?
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
So she was in Minnesota?
Yeah.
So she said, sing it.
That was a nice,
I take it back.
it's been very nice. Eh? Can we want to say goodnight now?
Oh.
Oh, did we? We're off? I have to
we're
make
off.
sure. Oh, yeah.
I thought you were waving at us.
I know. He's like, I'm done. I'm done. He's like, I'm good.
No, I'm not done at all. I'm happy. Well, it's nice to, it's a privilege to have this come through. It is. I've become, in my own experience, I couldn't put a value on it, hearing the message. Yeah, and the whole point was, it didn't come with a flash or a near-death experience. I had to hear it from someone. That's the way, that was the method I got introduced to it. Yeah, the idea. And so it's great to have that privilege to try to introduce others to the idea. Because this idea became the last answer concerning a very important topic in this life for me. Yeah, spirituality had a lot of weird meaning given to it through this. And it was nice to have it all corrected and stuff, really.
I'd like to say about you don't get an intervention for spiritual addiction.
No,
Because you don't get a lot of intervention for a lot of like bumper car behavior. Like you, actually in our culture, you get like a lot of you get a lot of like applause for a lot of it. Yeah. So there's like a lot of
Honey,
quiet
thank you so much for,
misery that goes on.
nice to see you.
You know, following the dictates.
And driven underground.
Yes,
But following, you know,
Bye,
you know
Maria.
what I mean? And like, and I like how like in that, like, the policeman really being there in the beginning
Yes.
before the thief,
Yes,
right?
for sure. Oh, yeah, when I was young, and this is obviously memory, story,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
there's value in it. You know, when I was young, I remember I was in school. I didn't curse till like 4th, 5th grade or anything like that. I didn't say anything the 1st grade. I was like perfect student. Yeah, and the 2nd grade. Then I was walking up the stairs from the cafeteria and an older class was going down the stairs. And the nuns were paying all the attention to the kids that were acting out. And it was just something I noticed and I said, fuck this. And I just started to act out. Yeah.
Oh, really? You were just a good little boy?
Yeah, I was a good little boy for about 1.5 years. And then I just, fuck this, basically, and I just started to act out. Yeah, and then I just went off. And that, there was trauma, you know, I lost people I loved and I had no idea what that was like, you know, when I was 9. People just disappeared, you know, and I found my father dead. And then my grandmother, who was incredibly special to me, she died like 3 months later. She lived with us. She brought me up. And I blacked her death completely out and everything that followed. I don't remember anything, but I remember my father's. And it was a very good thing because my father was smiling. He died in his sleep. My mother, we were having a lunch and she called and my father didn't answer. So she sent me up the stairs to see him and he was in my bed and I was going to wake him up. And then I looked and I knew something was wrong. So I called my mother. I didn't know what was going on exactly, but when I saw my mother's reaction, I knew something had happened. And then, but he had a smile on his face. He was like, listen, like this. And he hadn't been smiling because he was very ill.
So really supposed to be.
Yeah, he was very ill. So I made a very good impression on me. I was like, never forgot that. Yeah, because he was not having a good time in the last years, very ill. So yeah, that I did not, my little brain didn't know how to adapt to that at all. So it just increased the reliance on that which was yapping. Yeah, I used to have a nun, Sister Marie Neal, and then I was in and out of school because of the 2 deaths. And then I came back and I used to sit right in front of her, like 3 seats down into the room. And I remember, and she was my teacher for the whole 4th grade, whatever it was. And what happened was I came back and I looked at her and she seemed to be miles away. I had sucked into my head so much. She was like fucking 5 miles away. I wasn't hearing anybody anymore. Never listened to an adult. Just fucking listen to the head completely. Really. I just didn't trust anyone other than like below 18 years old. Really didn't. People would come and I was troubled and my mother didn't know what to do. So she'd bring uncles and stuff and they'd sit me down and they'd give me these big talks about if you don't straighten up, you're not going to get basically where they were, but I didn't want to be where they were. So I had no interest in all the shit they were saying. So I don't want what you have at all. Yeah. So it was, you know, it was just hell bent to go that way, not knowing I'd been taken over really. In that traumatic atmosphere, something moved in, really, just started running the show.
But it kind of reminds me of what you were talking about yesterday, in that, like, you're talking to your uncles, like, I don't want what they have, like, almost like the original trying to get out brought you, like the drugs, all of that, you know, you never know, but brought you to here, right? Like if you hadn't done all that, who knows?
Well, it went that, because you can give that meaning because you seem to be here, but it doesn't necessarily bring you here.
right.
Well, yeah, it
right,
makes
right.
sense as a metaphor. I mean, the sicknesses that you were talking about,
I'm
like
just
trying to
thinking
live
about
up
the
to other people's
urging,
standards.
the
That's a
urging,
sickness. So
well,
you
the
got,
urging, I mean, the thing is this is, it's hard without some dramatic push to go out of the norm. Like, where do you go? Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like.
there's
you-
not many options, really.
Yeah.
They have you running down a few tracks.
Yeah, like I remember kind of thinking about with alcohol, like, unless you have like that's what was my point about addiction is, unless you have some kind of dramatic addiction, nobody really gives a shit. So that's what I'm trying to say is you don't really get help unless there's really something that.
Usually, yes.
Yeah, that's what that was kind of.
But the thing with the alcohol is it's a family disease. It triggers a lot of other potentiality in the others around it. Because the alcoholic, the most dominant person at Thanksgiving won't be at Thanksgiving. It'll be the alcoholic cousin or brother. Yeah, everyone will be talking about them. You know what I mean? The alcoholic's like a vacuum. They suck up everything from people and things. So then there's other diseases that dance with the alcohol. So they had to set their own programs up to get
Right.
support from that.
Right.
But yeah, if
Right.
people die a quiet death,
Right.
sometimes, but alcohol can be very quiet too, but a
Right.
lot of times it's over flamboyant
Right.
and it attracts attention,
Right.
like from the authorities or from
Right.
family, and you get put away
Yeah.
for a
Right.
while.
Right.
Look at it, it's a huge business now. The
Well,
recovery
yeah,
business is
yeah,
freaking
yeah,
unbelievable,
Yeah.
unfreaking believable.
I know, I worked in it.
Yes,
I know a lot
it's
of.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And they have it, when they put out their stuff to like stock investors, they say they have a guaranteed recidivism, whatever rate, people are gonna get loaded again. So it's a fucking, there's always gonna be clients. I mean, shit, and people are so sure of that, they put tons of money on it. People don't usually put tons of money on it unless they know it's something that they're gonna win already, and they do, they put it there. And it became a business and something's been lost. A lot of people who do it as a business go out.
Yeah, 100, I mean.
It's difficult because it's not like a service in a way. It is service, it could be, but because the meaning money has, it infiltrates into that situation.
I mean, that happened to me. I mean, the whole idea that of an altruistic movement, forget it. Like if you're in that business, those
Yes.
people don't have altruistic motives. I mean, it just doesn't.
Well, you may have had it, but the thing, it's sort of like they said, the presidency makes the person doesn't make the presidency, certain positions you get in, you're gonna be, what you are is gonna be dictated by the system, not you, breaking the system. And so you enter a business and then this profit margin is the overhanging threat. Yeah, so this is what happened. The weirdest thing, these people from Westerners, but they were from Chiang Mai. And Chiang Mai has some very big rehabs, very expensive rehabs. And this guy got in touch with me, who the biggest, most successful one was on his land. So he refused to fulfill their lease and he wanted to build his own. So him and his partner somehow through a French headhunter found out about me. And the headhunter offered me to be the program director of this fucking place. And I say, I don't direct fucking anything. But I said, I don't mind talking to you.
Yeah.
So they would call me on Zooms and shit. And they'd ask me tons of stuff and I would give them my head. And then we got to service. I said, you gotta emphasize service. And this is just the money position, right? They said, what do you mean? We should tailor the service to the the client? I said, no fucking way. Put the client in the service. Do not make a tailored service to fit the client. That's one of the essential problems of the addiction. Yes? And people think they're gonna buy special, and they get it. They get special, they get sober friends. Yeah, they have people spending every moment with them and they're paying them $300. Yeah, and then basically when money is usually injected in it, you're not gonna tell the truth to someone because you need the cash.
I know, I worked in a very big West LA.
Yes, I know you do. It's difficult.
But it's very different, yeah, but it's very different too when it's not a profit motive.
Yes.
And when you're allowed to do they don't give you a schedule to. They say, hey, like they said to me, you know that thing you do? That's what we want you to do. They gave free rein.
That's good, yes.
And that really, because you're fitting in with, a lot of the stuff you're doing is contradicting what was done in the group right before.
Oh, right,
Yes.
100%. Yeah.
Because it's risk reduction, we were talking about this the other day, or it's based on control rather than going outside the box.
Yeah, well, yeah,
And
because
the kids
again,
respond to this,
it
unbelievable.
there was like a surrender, and now you're fitting the program around the people. You're trying to, all right, so the ceiling we're shooting for is harm reduction.
They're selling self-help. They're not really gonna tell you you're really actually powerless and we're gonna rely on a higher power. That is not what mommy and daddy want their kids to hear. I'm sorry. They don't, that's just not it, right? They wanna hear self-help, you can do it.
But we know people, you must know that their parents have paid at least $400,000 sending their kids to rehabs and shit. Yeah, because the parents want the kid more sober more than the kid wants. And in this case, the kid has to want it. It doesn't matter how much the parents want it, the kid needs to want it. And they're not ready. And now they get institutionalized and they know how to go to rehabs. And basically the place that could have been where the answer would have been available is now part of the problem.
Right,
Because they're used to going getting sent to rehab.
That's the whole system now. That is the system.
It's a drag. It is. I know.
Yeah.
We did it started, I was here in San Francisco, 1988, I got sober. So 1989, 1990, I had one of what we call a hospital institution. And I used to go out to this house called FAD, Freedom Against Drugs or something, Freedom from whatever. And it was a house near the beach. Yeah. And they had this ex-con who was managing it, this guy, Scotty. And it was very obvious very soon that Scotty had no idea what the fuck was going on. And basically, the guy who owned the house wasn't in the program. He was doing it for money. So this was his first one, and he started buying these other houses, and the government pays you. They get the general assistance check. So they're making money, and they don't give it real shit. Yeah. And so after 4 years of going there, I decided not going anymore because I felt I was doing a disservice really. And then down the road, I hear this guy got stabbed by 2 clients. This guy, Scotty, got killed. Yeah. Because there was, the inmates were running the asylum, and the bottom line wasn't achieving sobriety, it was money. Yeah, it was a business plan to buy these houses cheap and have a satellite of people, like 9 or 11 guys in each house getting all those checks from the government.
Yeah, it was big in the 80s.
Yeah. So this is, and they, I felt like I was in Delancey Street. Delancey Street had a great model. They had 300 of us as clients working 6 days a week, and no one was getting paid. And we had businesses, a moving company. We had tons of businesses, and they'd get clothes donated, which they would give us. They'd get food donated. They get a lot of donations, but all the money that they were making, no one got any. They got it, all the money. Yeah. Yeah, it was trippy. And when you're in that dire condition, you're not really checking out what's happening. You're lucky that you're out of the fucking war, basically. But then it's starting to dawn on you, Jesus Christ. And they were sending out us on political things. Some guy that they wanted to, or woman, because they had a lot of connection with the politics of San Francisco, they'd send us out on buses to leaflet neighborhoods. There would be 300 of us walking around getting someone elected. We didn't even know who the fuck it was. Yeah. So and then they ended up getting this great piece of real estate underneath the Bay Bridge because they knew all about what they were going to do with the Embarcadero. And now they're in that plush place with their restaurant and everything. Yeah, it was all, you could see it all happening. And the head guy he died, John Ma, he ran into a toll booth on the bridge. He was started in Synanon, which is one of the first ones. And then him and his psychiatrist started Delancey Street. He went out, so they kicked him out and she took it over. And she wasn't an alcoholic. She was a psychiatrist, a doctor or whatever, a psychologist, psychiatrist. And so she ran the whole thing. And it was a pretty good, it's sort of like what they did with the private jails, where they're working, like all the furniture of the courtrooms in a lot of states were made by inmates. They've got them working as travel agents, answering phones. They're using them, they're paying maybe $1 an hour or less. So there's like so many forms of slavery to the god of profit. You know, if you're incarcerated, you're probably going to be put into slavery in a lot of ways, as you know. So this whole, and then, you know, with the god of profit, then you can see Christianity gets so fucking crazed out. It seems like the complete opposite of what you would think a Christian is, which is, you know, love thy neighbor, and said these people are planning on killing everyone. You know, it's like fucking, how is this Christianity really? It gets so crazy. You get yeah, it blows my mind. I'm like, it's a bizarro world. Yeah, yeah. But see, they did it a long time. Remember when we were attacking everyone as America, and we called the people that fought our attack as the terrorists when they were actually the freedom fighters, and that they were cast as terrorists that were fighting against the loving America when we invaded their country. Now people are doing shit here, and they're thinking they're completely in the right. And other people, they're totally opposite. Like they're believing they're extreme whatever, and they're actually the exact opposite. The belief is unbelievable, and how it can be manufactured. It's incredible.
Well, we watch it being manufactured. I mean, I have a brother, and I just listen to him, and it's being manufactured.
Yes.
You know, he just watches the news, or he listens to the news, and then he calls me up and he reports, and I go,
Yes, it's incredible. I mean, you know, Goebbels in Germany, you know, the propaganda minister, he's got nothing on any of us in this world. They're really quite good at it. Yeah, incredible. But hey, instead of do no harm, just do less harm. So just do less harm. You know, yeah. Yeah. But hey, thank you. I hope this wasn't still on the
But not necessarily being listened to. So.
Oh, good, great. When satsang is going on, we don't have any opinions on outside things. Not at all. We have no dog in any hunt. The primary point is to present it, and that's it. Opinions aren't. Yeah. When people ask my opinion of stuff, I usually don't answer on the satsang. So the action figure has opinions, yes, but they're like, you know, a leaf on a tree. Yeah. The thing I ran into my friend, he's very into stuff, and I just say, if there has to be a regime, I'll pick the less cruel one. You know, if you can lessen the cruelty, you know, I don't like the blatant cruelty in some things. Yeah, I mean, going out of your way just to fuck with people for the sake of fucking with them. I don't see that. Yeah, yeah. So, all right, well, Do you want to watch a little movie for a while? No, I don't think so. Everyone wants to go to sleep.